So you're listening to Makin Mighty, the Challenger Sessions. I'm Simon Greenwood-Haigh. I'm joined by my co-host, Scott Cramner. This is a show where we talk honestly about challenger brands and what it takes to build challenger brands, from some of the creative decisions behind it, some of the challenges they may face, and we'll get into some discussions from stuff we've seen in the industry, stuff we've done. But yeah, I mean, how do we know each other, mate?
Yeah, I think I first met you at the bottom of a pile of men playing rugby, didn't I?
You're not the only one to meet me there, but yeah.
So yeah, we've played rugby for a little while, and then yeah, obviously a few years ago when I went freelance, we started working together on a more professional basis, shall we say. So yes,
Less piles of men.
Yeah, less piles of men.
Yeah.
So yeah, Simon was obviously at AB Foods at the time, and I'm a content creator. So video, animation, print, that sort of stuff. So yeah, we've had 3-4 years working together properly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Lots of challenger type stuff, lots of stunts we've done.
Yeah.
You've had loads of fucking weird requests off me that you've just run with, which is ace.
Yeah. Can you brand a narrowboat? That's probably one of the biggest ones I've had. Or
yeah, I mean...
Can you turn Bridgewater Place into a can of peanut butter?
The answer is yes, always from Scott, which is why we work so well together. But yeah, cool. So there's going to be a few co-hosted episodes where we're going to chat through a few topics. Right, so this episode we're going to talk about content and why so many founders, challengers blame the algorithm, nice scapegoat, but when it's really the fucking message that isn't working. Mate, you'll have seen this countless times, I'm sure.
Yeah, plenty. I think there's probably a bit of a argument to be had here, particularly on the old algorithm side of things, because I think sometimes it genuinely can be just a lucky punt. I've got a 10-year-old child, and I'm going to go out here early with this, and I'm sure you've all seen the old 6-7, and as annoying as it is, it's just a classic example of something that's gone viral. There's so many different stories of where that came from, and I think that kind of plays into that whole, like, well, sometimes you could just be lucky with your content.
Yep.
So yeah, I think the backstory behind that was, one of them is some kid was on TikTok and he was describing how tall a basketball player is, and obviously he went, I don't know, he's about 6'7". The other one was something to do with Starbucks and how they were rating a drink or something. So yeah, there you go. When your kids are saying 6'7", you know where it comes from now. But that's like a classic example sometimes of when content is just pointless.
Yeah.
But works.
Yeah. So in that instance, that can't be a thought through thing.
Yeah,
it's not a strategy, is it? That's a happy accident.
No, obviously not. Not my 10-year-old's not seen this, so I'm going to be a responsible parent now and tell you that first up. But I'm sure everybody's seen the old Hawk Tour.
Yes.
Yeah, we've all seen it, and again, it's just a classic, like some random piece of footage that has gone viral for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Yeah. The whole context of the video is irrelevant, but obviously there's just that section of it that has gone viral, and
and you can't plan for that, can you? But the amount of times I'll have been presented to by an agency saying, we were behind these viral things, we can help you go viral, and maybe they can, but it just feels, a lot of it feels like it is just a happy accident, and actually going out with that strategy is we're going to be viral feels flimsy.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly some aspects of that, that are at play. I think, ultimately, there's nothing stronger than a decent content plan. Mm-hmm. I think if you're consistent, if you get your tone of voice right, I think if you're interacting with people on social and stuff, undoubtedly, like that will help your growth. But yeah, I mean, like, you could just have that one video that goes viral, and also that could massively grow your following as well. I do think it's hard sometimes to say that you're going to go viral without the sort of backup of a decent content plan. If we do have guests on in future, it'd be good to get a friend of mine on who sort of looks after all that SEO and that sort of stuff. I mean, more importantly, really, you know, going back to the whole like audience and stuff like that, I think the first and foremost, in terms of content, you've got to know who you're talking to. So as a challenger brand, I think it's important to understand who your audience is first and foremost. It's all well and good casting a huge net, but you're only probably going to end up getting a little following. So obviously, in terms of numbers and stuff, that kind of is probably not very representative of who you are as a brand. If you were to go out and target 100 people, you know that you're going to target, and you get 100 responses, then obviously that's better for you than going out and targeting 1,000 people and getting 100. So it is important to kind of have that backup strategy planned out, and keeping consistent. I don't know if you've witnessed any brands that are doing it well, or...
I think the brands that do it well have one message they want you to hear. They might tell it in a few different ways, but it generally comes back to what are your USPs? What do you want? If someone was going to see you speak, what are the 3 things you want them to write down? And if that's the message that consistently comes across, told in different ways to keep it interesting and fresh, but if it's the one message, you know, for Proper Nutty, it was about being proper, and it was that message that we believed the peanut butter was the best peanut butter because of how we made it, and it was the only proper peanut butter out there because of how we made it and the texture. But it was, the message was, this is proper peanut butter. And that was the message we tried to tell in all the marketing when it was, you know, using lookalikes, because, that wasn't the proper. We used David Brent a lot. You had a fun day editing some Brent stuff, and but we deliver the proper peanut butter. So I think the brands, I'm not saying we did it well, but we went from, you know, 0 to 30,000 followers on Instagram, and same on TikTok, more on TikTok. But it was the single message that, one, makes your content plan easier. You're not scratching your head, what else am I going to talk about?
Next,
It's more about how do you execute that message of proper, and what goes into it being proper. It's ingredients, manufacturing process, the values and the package, or whatever it might be, but proper is the message. And I think those are the ones where, if you stop Joe Blogs in the street and they can't answer, what do we stand for, or what do you think about when it's that brand, you've missed it. If it's one that you can recall, a big brand, but you know, ask your audience and people at trade shows, what is the message we're trying to put across here? If that doesn't come through clearly in your socials, and maybe you'll hit one that goes viral, but to your point.
I think, I mean, you know, it's difficult. I think what I would say is social is changing rapidly. So from a content perspective, you know, what might work right now might not work in 6 months' time. So I do think it's important, if you can, to obviously like bring in specialists in that subject. You know, you've only got to look at Google as an example of that right now. I think over the last 6 months, sort of, people have seen a massive decline in traffic from Google. You know, previously they, you know, before they rolled out the new like AI description, people were like vying for that top spot on Google, and now when that description comes in at the top, like, people are actually trying to be quoted in there now, because that's the kind of like the new in thing. So, you know, you could be working your balls off to get that top spot on Google, and actually, like, it's irrelevant now in terms of an SEO perspective. Being in that description is now more profitable, because that's top of the slot, right, when you search for anything.
I was talking to a brand about that this week, funnily enough. So they're mainly a D2C business, looking to get into retail, spending eye-watering amounts on paid ads. And one of the things they do is a juice cleanse. So when you type in juice cleanse to Google, that AI description comes up and actually calls it a fad, and not sure if it works. And then they've paid for the next slot underneath. Fucking brilliant. Cheers, Google. But it is, you know, you've got to change with the pace. And if you can't pivot away from that because you've committed to Google or that's where your equity is, then fucking hell.
Yeah, I think we've alluded to this before, but if you know, social in particular is probably one place where you can be sort of fast and agile. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a content plan set up for 6, 12, 18 months, whatever, but you've got to be willing to be able to change that and adapt to what the network, like social networks are doing. You know, we've seen Instagram change from like a square format to a 5x4, and you know, like Facebook and LinkedIn are changing the way that they sort of read stuff now as well. LinkedIn at the moment is obviously favouring like sentences, so you'll see when people are like writing out their LinkedIn posts a sentence, full stop, next sentence. There's not like huge paragraphs of text because LinkedIn's not reading it as well. So, you know, like there are specialists out there. I wouldn't deem to be one myself, but there are specialists out there who literally just move with content. And obviously are kind of looking into the best ways in posting and getting that viral video. But again, like, you know, that viral videos, for instance, like they're great. They obviously get a lot of coverage, but you know, we go back to the sort of 6-7 movement with the kids. Like it's on its way out already. You know, like there's always something else coming along. So for me, like, yeah, viral video is great and it might get you that initial burst of views and followers and stuff, but you need to be able to back that up with consistency as well. And you know, it goes back to that point that you mentioned about like that proposition, like consistently giving your customers or your followers or whatever those USPs of, you know, proper peanut butter, proper production, proper proposition and all that sort of stuff.
All the proppers.
All the proppers.
And from a commercial point of view, buyers will look at that.
Yeah.
So I've been in meetings with challenger brands where they're up on getting the social media up now and seeing follow account is a vanity thing in my experience, but they will look to make sure that if you're saying, look, one of the things we're going to do is educate shoppers on how to use this product. If you're not doing that on social media, where the fuck are you doing it?
Yeah.
So it's important from a consumer interaction point of view. But if there's a disconnect between what the founders say and what the presentation says when you get there and the social media when they inevitably look, you just lose credibility.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's something you can control. You can blame the algorithm for not going viral.
Yeah.
But having a clear, concise, consistent plan is something that you can control, and there's not really a massive excuse for not doing.
No, I agree, and I do think, like I said, with social, like it is probably one of the best places to be able to adapt with that.
Yeah.
You know, like you can schedule posts in advance and have them set up there, but you know, I mean, we're all guilty of it, right? You can pick your phone up and post something pretty much instantaneously. And that's the beauty about social, really. Like a classic example of like getting it right on social is probably Aldi. The way that they behave on social, you kind of got to know where you can behave like that, and I think that's obviously the right place for it. You know, you don't see them behaving like that in store or in their leaflets and stuff like that. So I guess again it goes back to that understanding of if you're putting content out there, where's the right place and what's the right message?
Yeah, and challengers should be leading. That's what people want to see. They want to see and follow challenger brands. They want to get behind the underdog a little bit on social. It's more interesting than seeing, you know, a clip of an advert from a bigger brand.
Yeah, for sure.
That you've probably been served 12 times on a billboard and on screen and whatever else. I think that's the place for challengers that should be leading the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's throw this out there. Okay, so in terms of content, who is your favourite brand or who for you is putting the best content out there?
This is quite a new one. I'm going to have to be careful how I say it, because what I don't want to say is oat.
Oh.
Oat Cult.
Right.
C-U-L-T.
Okay.
Have you seen them?
I've not, no.
So it's a porridge in like a coffee bag size sachet, if you've ever come across coffee bags, that sort of size. Flavoured porridge, really good from a nutritional point of view. But their content speaks to me. On social, on LinkedIn, they're delivered on the packaging. I've ordered some, and it's a bit weird, a bit wacky. So they've kind of created this cult around the oat, and it looks high production value to somebody who doesn't know and doesn't do that, but it's just a really different brand. You think of porridge, you think of Quaker, you think of some boring brands. There's some exciting brands have tried to get into it, but it's usually a range extension rather than the intentional place they've gone.
Yeah.
And they've gone, right, everybody knows porridge is nutritious and healthy, and then the brand and the content they're putting out there is just fucking weird, and I love it.
Nice.
And it's just irreverent. It's a bit kind of Blair Witchy in terms of the it's ace. And then the second one, interestingly, also in Surreal, is Surreal. And there's loads of people trying to copy them. I think what they've done really well is hire comedians or people who want to be comedians or just generally funny people. So some of their content is proper basic in terms of design, but it just makes you stop and you want to scroll through all the slides to get to the end point. And it's just, they've, again, picked it's a category that's gone through a bit of a transition where it used to be, we're going to market Frosties to kids and it's going to be about fun and energy and sugar. And now you can't do that for good reasons. So it's become a bit of a wholesome, worthy category. And they've gone, well, fuck that. We're going to be interesting and everything we're going to put out is going to be a bit weird and funny. And, we're going to do billboards that I'm sure don't actually go up, but it looks like they're doing massive kind of nationwide billboard campaigns. And it's, they were finding celebrity endorsements that were just somebody called Dwayne Johnson loves our cereal. And it's not The Rock, it's just some dude called Dwayne. And just shit like that I just think, yeah, it's consistent. You've chosen to be the fucking rebel in the category. And you've got me hooked.
Yeah.
And it says, I think both those two things say something about me, but it speaks to me.
Yeah, nice. One of my favourite is, and definitely not a challenger brand, although some would probably see him as that, is Red Bull.
Yeah.
I remember, now I've got a child and work long hours, I drink a lot of Red Bull anyway, but I remember being, again, if you want to sponsor us, that'd be great. I remember, I think it was probably around 2010 when they took Felix Baumgartner up in the hot air balloon and he decided he was going to throw himself out. I remember just being sort of sat on the edge of the sofa, absolutely glued to the TV watching that and thinking, God, what a brand! What a brand to sponsor people, and we're seeing it more and more of them sort of. There's been one recently where the guy jumps through the two passing trains, and their content is pretty sick. And I think as a brand, they, Red Bull gives you wings. They're almost everything that they put out and the people they sponsor, they're almost living that purpose kind of. And I guess it goes back to obviously that initial sort of mindset of in terms of the content, you have to put out content that is relevant to your sort of USP. Yeah. They're a high octane, live life at 100 miles an hour drink, right? And why would you not obviously put content out that gives you the opportunity to show that as well? So I think they're one for me who are not necessarily pushing the boundaries in terms of styles of content to put out, but they're pushing the boundaries of what's achievable and then putting it on social. Yeah. So I think it's important as a message, particularly from this chat, is to get across that. I think first and foremost, you have to have a message. Yeah. And then out of the back of that, your content sort of has to have that consistent message all the time. Doesn't necessarily matter how you put that message out, whether it's video or statics or animations or whatever, or like you said, the playful billboards and stuff. But I think that definitely has to have a consistent message, and that's probably one of the most important things.
So thanks for listening. If you found this episode useful, please share it with somebody in the industry, another challenger brand, somebody who's trying to build something, and hopefully they can learn something and take value from it. You can follow us, follow the podcast, follow us on social media for more conversations like this. Future episodes will have guests, we'll have different topics, and hopefully we'll be really getting under the skin of challengers and what makes them tick and how you can act and operate like a challenger.
We're also going to be shaping future episodes around real questions that founders have got. So if there's something you want us to dig into, whether that's brand, sort of growth, retail, positioning, send it in and we'll try and cover it off in future episodes. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.